Hey there, welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN, and presented by our pals at Prize Picks, where you can use code Eurostep to get $50 when you play $5 for the first time on Prize Picks, win or lose. Check out the links in our description for that. I am Ty Windisch, joined as always by my bright co-host, Rohan Katti. If you're not watching on YouTube, the sun is getting after my guy pre-8 a.m. on a Wisconsin morning, post-storm. Rohan, how you holding up? Did it hit Milwaukee at all, or was it more farther north?
I mean, it was like kind of raining and windy.
Okay, we got a wintry mix. It
We
didn't
also
really stick
did a
on
little
roads,
bit,
though. Yeah, okay.
but it wasn't anything bad, I'd
Yeah,
say.
no. I mean, I will say I drove through Oshkosh yesterday after work, and road was pretty icy. We were going slow. We were driving like Gmaw, because that's the right way to do it when the roads are icy in Wisconsin. Anyway, you could tell we're real Midwest guys because we had to do some weather talk up top. But actually, we're not dreading talking Bucks because the Bucks are fun again. They have won, I believe, 4 in a row now. They are 8-2 in their last 10, with a back-to-back sweep over the Hawks and the Mavericks. And we got to start here because all too often we forget Giannis. We're not going to do that this time. Reached 20,000 points on a beautiful lefty layup. Quickly got to like 20,010 points after that because the Mavericks had no answer for him with only 8 players active and none of them all that big. But Giannis becomes the 6th fastest, the 52nd overall. The 6th youngest to do 20K, the 52nd to do it overall. He's only like 50 points away from 50th, so pretty safe to assume that's going to happen this season. More history for the Greek Freak, joining, of course, Damian Lillard, who did that last season. A lot of history for Bucks players lately. It helps when you have 2 top 75 of all time guys. But what did this mean to you, Rohan? Because I think we're obviously so used to, MVP level Giannis and this great player that we get to watch in all these games. But I feel like the milestones like these, or when he became leading scorer, is when you kind of flash back to like rookie year Giannis who didn't know what to do. And it's like, damn, 20,000?
Yeah, it really puts things in perspective, right? Because like you said, like when you hit these types of milestones, you kind of start to reflect back and you think about the journey. We take a lot of Giannis for granted nowadays, like the last like 6, 7, 8 years. PK milestone is just so important and it's just so big. Like 20,000 points. Only 52 players have done that. First ballot Hall of Famer. But still to have these accomplishments, it's really like, wow, this guy's doing this in Milwaukee. Like
Yeah.
that's awesome. Like we're never going to be able to experience a player like Giannis again. So I think it really helps put things in perspective and make you appreciate what is actually going on.
Yeah, I think it was fun that Giannis said after the game, me and Dame get our own table now, table for 2 when we go out to eat. Um, but yeah, one of the things that shocked me about this was the fact that Giannis was 6th youngest to do it with the slowest of slow starts. I mean, when you look at like the superstar pantheon of players, the guys he's up there against, they pretty much all came into the league scoring a lot of points per game. And like, whether it was due to the college rules or LeBron just being a mutant, pretty insane that Giannis after, I mean, I don't know what, like 10 points per game. I think he averaged like combined 15 his first 2 seasons, like, which is not very prodigious scoring. I mean, it's good for a young player, but it's not good for that level of young player generally. The fact that he's still I forget all the guys, but like LeBron, Wilt, probably Kareem, like the company that
Jordan.
he's in. Actually, maybe not Kareem because Kareem did a lot of college, but still, it's obviously Giannis came in younger than some of these guys, but it is pretty remarkable that he still managed to be the 6th youngest to do it when he got it done. But yeah, I thought the Bucks tribute video was well done. Giannis seemed to enjoy watching it, calling back to like, looking up at the banners in the arena and everything. And obviously we're way past wondering now what kind of banners. I mean, now what we're wondering is, Can we get a couple more of those championship banners, but maybe a couple more NBA Cup banners, a couple more successful seasons? But we know that 34 is going to be up there, no doubt. But just an awesome moment and another awesome game from Giannis as well. He was just completely in control of this one. 32, 15, and 4 assists for Giannis against the Mavericks. 6 for 6 from free throw, no comment. 13 of 20 from the field, which was cool because a lot of those were his midi, which he's just dialed in. I pulled the stats on this before the game. The only players in the NBA, there's 10 guys who shoot 4 or more middies per game. And Giannis is one of them, which I thought was kind of wild. I mean, we know he's gone to it more. He is one of the 10 highest volume in terms of total mid-rangers per game. And out of that 10, the only ones shooting a better percentage than from mid-range than him are two Suns, KD and Booker, as much as it's done for them. And then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is kind of known as like the doctor of the mid-range at this point. Like, Giannis is shooting a higher percentage from mid-range than Kawhi, DeMar DeRozan, Brandon Ingram, Jamal Murray. Like, way higher than Joel Embiid, higher than Paul George. Pretty crazy. Oh, man. Ugh, that one kind of hurts a little bit, Rohan.
Was not fun to say at all.
No, I'm sure it wasn't.
But it's just remarkable, right? Like, we've gotten to a point this season where Giannis takes a midi, and I'm like, okay, that's probably going in.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much this season his confidence has just increased, and like just the confidence in that shot, and like as a viewer, just like the confidence that you feel that Giannis has in that shot. It's like that confidence is ridiculous in that shot. Whether it's a turnaround, just a straight pull up, whether it's like a little Dirk fade. I think the Dirk fade's probably the least efficient out of the three. But
yeah. It feels like the newest addition to the arsenal too.
That's true. That is true. But he's taking them, and he's taking them confidently, and I trust that shot, which is crazy. Like, I just hope that maintains come playoff time, but I trust that shot, which is not something we've ever been able to say about Giannis.
I definitely trust it come playoff time, just because he's gotten so many. Again, like, this isn't like, oh, he takes one of them per game and they're going in. He is like 5th or 6th in terms of total mid-rangers taken per game. Like, he's really hammering this shot. Hilarious part about that is I think 9 of the top 10, the guys who take 4 or more, are all between 4.0 and 4.9. And then there's DeMar DeRozan, who's at like 8.9 mid-rangers per game, just doubling up. Not exactly, I think, doubling the next guy, but pretty close. But Giannis is on that list. So I don't think I realized until I looked it up how high the volume was for him. And then I think he was at like 46%. I haven't looked today. It's higher now. He was better than 50% on the mid-rangers against Dallas for sure. Was that Dwight Powell? Yeah, I mean,
it was
just knew he couldn't guard him. And then Giannis walks up and I think starts 3 for 3 on all middies. And you could see Dwight Powell just kind of looking over to Jason Kidd like, dude, what do you want? Like, I thought these were the wins for us. I guess not. I guess they're not.
Jason Kidd's like, I broke this guy's spirit. Trust me, Dwight.
Yeah, see if you can push him back to the 3-point line. Those are the ones that I really messed up for him.
I will never understand the glazing of J-Kidd.
No. The Bucks do it too, which is very frustrating.
It's just Steve Novak. I hate Steve Novak.
Yeah.
So bad. Marcus, please.
Yeah, we have not had a Marcus and Lisa game. I mean, since All-Star? No, we probably have, but not many.
It's such a good pairing, man. I don't understand why people don't like Lisa. I love Lisa.
I like Dave Kane. It was a rough showing against the Hawks.
Dave Kane is built for... I'm fine with Dave Kane. I think he's good. Yeah. He's really good at radio.
Yeah.
And we should keep it that way. Because he's still like, and it's not his fault. He's so used to doing radio, right? That his play-by-play, it feels like radio, which is good. Which is good because that's his job. That's awesome. Like, you're really good at what you do, Dave Kane. This is not a shot at him at all. I love Lisa and Marcus. I think Lisa's great. I love Lisa.
Yeah, I do too.
So I don't understand the Lisa hate.
I understand it because,
Well,
you know,
yeah.
she's a woman and a lot of people don't like women in sports, which is a very lame position to say the least. I'd say that's understating it, but
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of the Lisa hate.
Well, I don't like
Anyway,
it.
I don't like it either. Lisa Byington, come on the pod. But Giannis dominates again against the Mavs. Dame also has 34, 5 assists, 2 steals, 11 for 15 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3. Those two to start the game, I think they had 26 combined points in just over 10 minutes of the game, where it was clearly they were like, we would like to take some of this game off. The rest of you better do something. We are doing our part. Dame, still with the swollen eye, is knocking down all of his threes
How?
early.
I don't get it. If my eye looked like that, I'm not doing anything.
We might have to like have some Bucks players sock him in the eye every so often too, because clearly this is working. But Big Bob, when you get back, he can practice now. Big Bob, we got work for you. I don't think Big Bob would hit Dame. I feel like it would be. I feel like it would be size on size only. You know, Mirotic is pretty big.
Yeah, that's true. He's like the around the same size as Big Bob.
Yeah, he's like 6'8". You know what I mean? Like I don't think Big Bob would like swing at a 6'3" NBA guy.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But no, I'd say if my eye looked like that, I'm taking off work. I'm not doing
Yeah,
anything. I'm like,
and Gary got the game off instead. Dame had to clock in.
yeah, he's
They're like,
clocking
well,
in.
Gary's PTO is already scheduled, Dame. I figured he was actually going to play. The fact that he went back in did not seem concussed. As far as I mean, I wasn't there. Troy Flanagan was kind of just like free ball in that decision. He came down, sat on the bench for 1 second when he took the hit from Capella, and they were just like, get back in there, Dame. You're good. We're not going to do any tests. It's fine. I mean, realistically, he probably will. I mean, he took an elbow right directly to the front of the eye, which is why it swelled up like that. But it's not like sometimes you see a guy's like head hit the hardwood or something like that. I think those are the ones that are really dangerous in that sense. It wasn't that hard of a hit. I just think it lined up perfectly to mess up Dame's eye. But he did just play through it. And I was like, well, if he can play in that game, he'll probably just play in the next game too. And also, you know, pretty good chance you're going to put up good numbers against the corpse of the Dallas Mavericks season. So a good one to not miss. I don't know. Is he already like pretty much qualified for All NBA? I mean, as long as he plays not
As
none
long
of
as
the
he gets to
games,
65, I think he's good.
I think he's on pace for that because he has missed pretty few games this season. I am pulling it up now. He is. This doesn't have it. He's played 51, so he needs 14 more. So he's got to play most of the remaining games.
Yeah, he can miss like a few games though.
Yeah, but I think that's going to be that's definitely a consideration for Giannis. I saw some people saying sit Giannis. No, he only has, I think we determined 6 more that he can miss, and if you can play him a light minute load and for sure get a win and get him to 20,000 points, like just do that. You know, you don't have to play him 40 minutes. You can play him. He played less than 30 in this game. That to me is kind of the perfect scenario at this point, given how close he is. And Dame is not that far behind. Dame's only played 2 more games than Giannis in terms of getting to 65. So I think this is probably going to be the move for them in a lot of these back-to-backs if they're not actually dealing with something, you know, a more like, I guess, serious long-term potential nagging injury. Obviously, Dame had the eye. You're not really worried about that becoming a long-term thing for him, especially now with 2 days off. But I bet we'll see more games like this where maybe those two guys play reduced minutes the second night of a back-to-back, but still get 20 to make sure that they are all NBA eligible. Because the more guys who miss out, I mean, it's a dark thought, but the more likely it is Dame could make one of those teams as well.
Yeah, I think he's got to be a lock. Oh, lock for third team, right? At least.
So we basically have a full MVP ballot of 5 guys, so we can just assume that's first team to make it easier. Is LeBron going to play enough? Luka has not played enough.
Luka's not eligible.
Yeah. I mean, some Tatum already. Will there be another Celtic ahead of Dame? I don't know. It's not really been a great individual season for most of those guys outside of Tatum, maybe Jaylen Brown, but just him, if only him. Probably a couple of Knicks.
Yeah.
Probably at least one more calf. Maybe? I don't know. Garland sneak on there. Yeah, he's got a good shot. I mean, I don't think there's been that many that many other better seasons than him, especially when you consider all the guys who are ineligible already. So yeah, I hope so. That'd be fun. He's got to get to 65 too, though, which again, he's definitely on track to do.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucks have played 61 games, so they have like 21 left, and he just needs to play 14 more.
Yeah.
So he can miss.
Yeah, so 2/3. He has to play 2/3. And Giannis slightly more.
Yeah, which I think is doable.
Although if that NBA Cup thing is true, then he's played 52, I guess, technically. So he'd have even one more game because he'd also played in the Cup game.
Yeah.
Brook Lopez has played 60, and that's Giannis's pick for DPOY. He mentioned after the Hawks game, which I thought was very endearing. I don't think he's going to win, personally. I think it's long odds at this point. Imagine Giannis has like a Jonte scandal, but it's like horrible bets on his own teammates to win stuff. I think Dame is going to be MVP. I think Brook is DPOY. I think Andre Jackson Jr. is most improved player. Lock it in. Knowing Giannis would be like $2 per bet. Please don't do this, Giannis.
It's a very honest thing to do.
Except he wouldn't. I think he'll just give them the support. I don't think he's going to throw because he doesn't like to throw his money around. I don't think he's going to throw his money behind it.
Fair. That's fair.
He's a savvy spender.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. The third, I probably wouldn't call it a big three anymore. The third starter, Kyle Kuzma. I don't know how to talk about this team anymore. You wouldn't say big three at this point, would you?
It's a big two. It's
dynamic duo plus other guys.
Yeah, plus other guys. Like you should have guys who are pretty good. Like would you call LeBron, Luka, and Austin?
I might. Yeah, I might. But Kuzma's not putting up 40 in games regularly, so I think that's a little different.
Neither is Austin Reeves. He's not doing it regularly.
Well, he's been out. He did it a couple of times post-trade, I think.
Fair. But
Reeves, I think, is closer to that.
That's fair.
Kuzma's role is a lot different, too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another example, and I can't.
Like Draymond, you probably would consider just because of what he does defensively. You know, if Draymond's a big three guy, maybe Kuz is. I don't know. I think
that's a good facsimile.
Yeah.
Like Draymond's he's clearly not a star anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how people consider that team.
I think they're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because it's a weird team.
If you ask Lacob, Kuminga's the third guy in the big three. If you ask Steve Kerr, he's like after GP2, after Loon. Very funny team. I don't know if you've seen Kerr is like, you just got to play like Jimmy, Jonathan. He's like just saying this out loud to the media. Please stop worrying about your shots. Anyway.
And if you ask
Kuzma,
Steph.
Oh, yeah. If you ask Steph, it's housing is the big three, and then other urban development is outside looking in.
Yeah. But Kyle Kuzma.
Yes, 17 points on 70% shooting on both halves of this back-to-back. That'll play.
That'll play any day of the week.
Yeah, that you are not complaining about. Got to the rim a lot against Dallas. It looked great. Had a couple of great cuts in this game. I mean, so one of the ones where Giannis looked off Clay and then just got it to him wide open under the rim. It feels like the Bucks, this hasn't been a big emphasis for them post-deadline, whether it's Kuzma cutting or Brook Lopez in the dunker. trying to better get not just threes when teams blitz Giannis and Dame. And I feel like it's actually been working tremendously well of getting those other shots right at the rim, because those are the shots that teams just refuse to live with. Like, if the threes are cold, you can live with giving up some threes to like Taurean Prince. You really can't live with Kyle Kuzma and Brook Lopez just dunking the basketball over and over. So I like the way that the Bucks have switched this up. I just like the way Kuzma's playing overall. He also knocked down both of his threes against Dallas, and that was the point. Him, Dame, and Giannis were all hitting multiple threes, and it's like, all right, they're clearly going to win by a lot. They should, and they did. And then Ajax also goes 2 for 3, which is hilarious. But I thought, or not, Dame was hitting, Giannis was hitting mid-ranges, not threes. I correct that. But Dame and Kuz were hitting all their threes. But Kuzma, I thought, just played another. I think overall, even when the results aren't great, he is playing the way the Bucks want/need him to play, and just applaud him for like leaning in, like defending hard, cutting to the rim, taking open threes. Those are the things we want to see, and he's doing it.
Kyle Kuzma, I'm glad you brought up the defense, because one thing I've really, really been impressed with is his guard defense. Like we talk a lot about the starting lineup and who's going to be defended quick against some guards. It's really important. Like it's so important. Like you see it in that Hawks game a couple times. Kyle Kuzma gets switched on to Trae Young, and Trae Young tries to pull him and do some ISO work, and he can't really get a ton of space. And it's like, oh, okay, Kuz. Like I get being big. I know Giannis has talked about how really important it is to just be big and overpower and overwhelm teams. So I get Taurean Prince still being in the lineup. I still think they should change that up, but I get it. Like I'm not like I understand the thinking. I think in these lineups, like you need to experiment more with Kuz being like a primary like on ball defender, which is tell me that at the beginning of the season, and I'm done.
Yeah, I think
what happened here?
I know. I saw another one of those where like Kevin Porter Jr. got a triple-double for the Bucks. How many picks did we give up for Giannis? Also saw the player that MarJon was traded for posted a triple-double. How many picks did the Bucks give up in that trade? Were a couple of funny posts I saw from last night. And yeah, it is the way the trade deadline worked for the Bucks and the reaction to it and everything and how it's played out since then. Wild. I mean, there's been some swings, but overall, it's been extremely positive. And this was a good Jericho Sims game as well against the Mavericks, which was great to see after I don't think he played that well against Atlanta. But yeah, I think Kuzma has been great so far. He's not a perfect player. This was a good 3-point shooting game. It still feels like he's going to be around 30%, maybe a little south, maybe a little north as a Buck. I think he's probably still below even after the 2 for 2 last night. But I think that's okay. I think everything else he does is so important. It almost feels like they saw some of these games earlier in the season where teams just had like a 6'8" guy who's athletic and they put him on Dame, and it's like, it's actually pretty tough to deal with. Like, it's just a big size advantage. If you're roughly as athletic, just makes it hard to score. The Bucks said, hey, let's go get one of those. And they did. So, yeah, really exciting stuff for Kuz.
Yeah, the cutting is just like you mentioned. It's just so important. Just being able to like try to bend a defense when you don't have the ball, or when Giannis or Dame has the ball. Like additionally, it's just so important. Like because you can get easy looks. Like that's what they're finding out. Like Kuzma and Brook, like you mentioned, they can get super easy looks at the rim just by moving off ball, and maybe less so Brook. That's more of like a Giannis short roll read for Brook rather than Brook kind of going and eating up space. But for Kuz, it's just so important for him to keep defenses honest with his cuts, and it's awesome. I've never seen a crazy to witness and see like, oh, that's possible. That's cool. That's a thing. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about the other highest scoring Buck from this last game, who was AJ Green. And I've seen the sentiment that he has been in a slump, so I wanted to look it up and see the numbers. And it's true, February was his worst 3-point shooting month of the season so far. Do you want to guess what he shot?
I don't know,
from
like
three.
38%.
37.5%.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Brutal slump. He's been about 40 to 42 every other month. You look at his like in wins and losses, it's like 42.6 to 42.9. From pre and post All-Star, it's within a percentage point as well. I mean, there's obviously some variations, but I would say overall as a shooter, AJ is relatively consistent. And the reason I trust him as a shooter is you'll see him break a slump in the same game. Like he can start 0 for 4 from 3 in a game and then rattle off like 5 straight makes, which is basically what he did against Dallas. He ends up 6 for 9 from 3 with 18 points, pouring it on in the second half. Was nice to see. He's still fouling too much. He only had 2 in this game, but they were both kind of like, oh, that's a bad foul. So I kind of see why Doc is hesitating to start him. And then Trent was out. He got I mentioned earlier, I think just knee soreness. Hopefully it doesn't seem like it's going to be too serious of a thing, but he got a rest game against Dallas, and obviously it was fine. The Bucks won by 30. They were up, I think, by 40 at one point. But it's just nice to see AJ have another one of these big games and, kind of still navigating what his role and everything is going to be. But Doc still trusts him, still plays him quite a bit. And I just believe he's going to knock down a 3 every time, even if he is slightly cold. I feel like he can get hot basically with one make.
Yeah, and I think the slump for AJ Green has not necessarily been like his offensive output. It's been more like his overall play in
Yeah,
general. Like
I agree with that.
the shot is there, like you mentioned. It's more the defense. It's kind of detrimental to his play
Yeah.
because you can't have any defensive liabilities out there. If you want to be like a defense first team, which they're leaning into again, you
Yeah.
just can't have performances like that where he's out of position, he's out of play, and just erratic play on the defensive end, which is I would say is his slump.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I feel like every time you can clearly see they busted a switch or just a rotation, way too often AJ is the guy who's kind of like hanging around another defender. So you're like, oh, it's probably on him again. He seems to be one of the worst in terms of just like the missing a switch or, maybe switching when you shouldn't or something like that. And that is very detrimental to the team defense overall. The fouling on ball is one thing and it's also a problem, but both of those things combined have certainly been issues. And listen, Taurean Prince is not free of issues either. I posted early in the first quarter of the Mavs game, like, can somebody wake up TP and let him know the game started? Because just like the random turnover where he just like bounces the ball toward the back of Giannis's legs. Offensively, he couldn't really hit a shot. He only knocked down one shot, but defensively, like there's one point where the Mavs are getting offensive rebounds and he's kind of just like planted to the ground in one spot, not moving with his guy, not going to get the board. It's just like, all right, man, like I know this is supposed to be a walkover, but can we save the sleepwalking part of it till the game is actually over, not when it's like tied in the first quarter? Frustrating game from TP, who did get a down stock for it. But he is bigger and he is a vet and he is also shooting a great percent from 3 this season. So to your point, I see why he's starting, like the whole size idea and everything. I would prefer someone else there too, but that starting lineup is working. I don't think Prince is a detriment in the way Ajax was, and his spacing
Ajax back.
Yeah, he's a better shooter now than TP is.
I wouldn't go that far.
Ajax against the Mavs had a great dunk. Also was under the rim with no one around him, pump faked, got blocked, and then lost the rebound out of his hands. But knocks down 2 or 3 from deep, all on really fast pulls. Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense to it. I still can't believe they put this guy in the slam dunk contest.
I think we learned really quickly that he was just athletic. And I still think he has potential to be a pretty good player.
Yes.
But we can't take that chance.
No, I don't think we take that chance right now. And I just think, I do feel like sometimes you see people post about the young guys as if their Bucks career is over if they're not in the rotation right now. That's just not, even like these teams who develop players, like the playing time is not like, okay, you're a somewhat promising rookie, you're going to get 20 minutes per game forever. Like You've got to earn it. You've got to jump in when there's an opportunity. And Ajax did that earlier this year. Again, he was starting games. It's not like this season is a waste for him if he's not in the immediate rotation right now. But this is just life when you're a good team with a lot of vets. And I think we're going to see him here and there when the Bucks really need help with a perimeter player. But if they don't need that and they're mostly healthy, we're not going to see him. And that's fine. Let him work on these things, figure out what he does with the ball between now and the start of next season. And then we don't know what the roster's going to look like yet. Like, there could be a huge opportunity for him again. And if the shooting continues anywhere like this, I mean, he could supplant some of these vets as well. That's not out of the realm of possibility either. But I don't think like, oh, he's never going to play again because he's out of the rotation right now. I mean, these things just change over time, especially when a player's that young and under contract for a few more years.
I think what he needs to do this offseason is just someone needs to build like a box, like a 2-foot by 2-foot box around the rim, lock him in there and just throw some basketballs in there and just
he's got to start with it. Throw bounce passes to him and just go up and dunk it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's got the tip-ins. Like, if it's up around the rim, he'll go to get it.
No. Like, keep like 15 basketballs in there with him and just make him
just keep dunking. Yeah, I like that. I'd watch that.
Just lock him in a box, but like not in a like a bad way. In like we're helping you out.
A productive box.
Yeah, a productive box.
Let's talk about our friends at Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. I'm excited to talk about more Bucks players from this recent stretch, but I'm even more excited to talk Prize Picks, where all you do, this is it. It's simple. 2 to 6 player stat projections. All you do is you say more or you say less. That's it. More than, less than. You can win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Of course, depending on how many of those player stat projections you pick. You know what, folks? If you're a fan of basketball, they got that. If you're a fan of esports, they got that. If you're a fan of hockey, they got that. Football, kind of inactive right now, but that'll be back. You know, you can get ready, but that's kind of sleeping right now. College basketball heating up in a couple of weeks. Fun time to play Prize Picks. And, of course, you know, we're already training in the spring. I don't know what I can or can't say during this ad copy, but, you know, some training happening between the winter and summer seasons of baseball. I feel like that's probably not a copy. Whatever. Baseball is coming back soon as well, and you'll be able to play that on Prize Picks. Rohan and I still working on figuring out what hitter fantasy score is, but once we know, we'll be able to drop in even more picks than ever on Prize Picks, which is available to play in more than 30 states, including, of course, Wisconsin, where withdrawals are safe and easy, and where they innovated the flex play, where you don't even have to get all of your picks right, and you can still win. I was 4 for 6 against the Mavericks. I still won. Look at that. Download Prize Picks today. Use code Eurostep. You can find easy links in our descriptions on audio and video platforms to do this. Here's what you do. You put in $5. That's it, $5. Cup of coffee. Make a play. Again, pick more or less, 2 to 6. Win or lose, you get $50 on us. Pretty good deal, if I may say so myself. That's code Eurostep on the Prize Picks app right now. Go download it. Go check it out. It's just $5, and you're really helping the pod. Prize Picks, run your game. The player I was excited to talk about, we'll get to KPJ, had another great game as well. It wasn't him. Watching Jericho Sims do stuff offensively was thrilling to me because he basically had made one shot in like 6 games or something. He would make a shot here or there. Now we're seeing the chemistry with him and KPJ as that bench unit has really emerged. The Bucks finally have a backup point guard who can do something with the ball, and B, a backup big man who can dunk the ball, which, I mean, Bobby Portis, Robin Lopez. I mean, when's the last time they had
John
that?
Henson? They had him shooting threes.
Was Boogie dunking on the Bucks?
Yeah,
I mean, he's here for like 2 weeks. He was here for like 2 weeks, so I don't know if that really counts. Anyway, Sims 5 for 5 against the Mavs. Not all dunks. Shot one of those push shots again. I feel good for calling out the push shots on our last pod. He's taking them now. 10 and 8 for Sims, plus a block. The defense looked really good. The rebounding looked better, which is good because Dallas was very tiny. So it should look good. But a very strong Sims game, who played only 3 less minutes than Brook Lopez, which I find very interesting. I find that very interesting. I don't think that's all a garbage time thing either.
I think he was. I'll push back a little bit and say that was probably a garbage time thing because like how much did Brook play in the second half? It was
not much. He only played 23 total minutes. Yeah,
exactly. Like I think he was more like a we're gonna rest our guys sort of thing because
Yeah.
it's not like Dallas had. I think it's definitely more of a
Yeah.
what Jericho has been doing has been incredible to watch, especially against the Mavs. Like just being able to see him handle switches, be a force offensively. Like with I can't stop watching that man scream. I can't.
No,
I'm addicted to it. It's
he
like
loves it. He's addicted to it too.
it's so good. Like I feel like I'm unlocking new things to watch during a basketball game, during a Bucks basketball game. I should on to perimeter players who can, just be a guy who eats up boards and just dunks everything when he gets to the basket. It's so refreshing. It's so great. I don't know if it's time to have this conversation yet. The sample size is still really small. I know you know where I'm going.
Mm.
But what happens when Bob comes back?
I think you play both.
How?
Play Bob at the 4.
Yeah, but
actually
whose minutes are you eating into?
Probably just like a little bit of all of the bench guys. I mean, what is that? That'd be 10 players with Trent back and with Bob back. Because, yeah, that'd be 10, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, in the playoffs, it's a different story. I mean, also, like, does that help you? Again, like, can you shave a couple? I mean, Giannis is already on the minutes restriction. Maybe shave a couple Brook Lopez minutes off just because then you have more size. Like, or is it just a different lineup configuration? Like, the minutes depend. I don't know exactly. I hope it's not just, okay, here's all the Sims minutes to Bobby. We talked about this, like, right after the trade. There's a lot of potential of Bobby Sims lineups, especially now that this bench unit, like, the defense has been quite good. The offense has been it's basically like, is KPJ on? Good. If KPJ is off, it's very bad. I think Bob can insulate them from that a little bit. Like, okay, nothing's working. Now it's like throw to Trent, who's been quite good, but now missed a game. Throw to Bob is also a good option, and I think teams are going to run out of good guys to defend both Bob and Sims at a time. So I hope we see some of those lineups because I think it just opens up more options and Bob could really eat if there's like another good pick and roll pairing to distract from him and let him do his stuff. Like imagine the Bob rebounding if he's out there while KPJ and Sims are running this pick and roll. Like he's going to be able to get in there on the boards while teams are distracted. That's what I hope we see. And then again, just kind of trim down everybody's else's, like a little less Lopez, a little less Prince, maybe a little less AJ Green. He's been playing quite a bit. He had 31 minutes almost against Dallas too. He actually led the team in minutes in that game, which I'm not mad at that, but that's what I would do personally because I think Bob is still worth playing.
Yeah, you gotta get that scoring punch in that bench lineup.
Yeah, they need it. I think KPJ is still a little unsustainable, but I think it's kind of like Brook to me. Like Brook and Bob are similar and like, let's see how it's going. Let's see how they're playing. Let's see how the other team is going with lineups. And then we decide who plays more.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I still worry a lot about, and the suspension sucks. It's bad. I don't like it.
No, I don't like it either. And it's going to make the lineup stuff tough. We're going to have one good week of basketball before the playoffs start where we see what this looks like. So get experimenting, Doc. On that note, actually, experimenting. Can we get a damn Kuzma Giannis 4-5 lineup someday?
I hope so. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
That was like one of the things we're most excited about. We haven't seen it at all. 0 minutes to this point. Let's try that. Let's see Dame, Trent, Prince, Kuzma, Giannis. Or Green in there, whichever. Like, that's a lineup I want to see. And I just don't think we have it all.
No, we have it. But it's definitely something that needs to happen because that's one of the reasons we were really, really excited about Kyle Kuzma. He's like, oh, he's that perfect 4 for Giannis at the 5 lineups.
Yeah.
Just try it.
the Bucks are like, he's actually the perfect 3, and Taurean Prince is the perfect 2. Dame is still the perfect 1, though. Yeah, like, I mean, I don't think we see it against Orlando. Probably not Cleveland, because they're huge. So, like, maybe I think the Celtics are coming up. Like, if they do that Tatum at center kind of lineup, depending on who's in or out for them, maybe then. I don't know. I would like to see it, though. I mean, the Pacers play the Pacers a couple times this month. That'd be a good team when Turner's not in to try it against. Although I think Thomas Bryant's actually playing pretty well for them. But anyway, want to see that lineup soon. Please, Doc. Please, Doc. I've liked most of what he's done. Don't like Prince starting, and I don't like not seeing that lineup. The rest I think is fine.
Come on, Doc. Throw us a bone.
Operate on this lineup, Doc.
Oh, I get it. I was like, what?
Yeah.
But I got it. It's a Doc
joke. The doctor.
Yeah. Mr. Dr. Rivers.
Mr. Dr. Rivers.
Mr. Dr. Glenn Rivers.
He has performed successful CPR on the career of Kevin Porter Jr., who the Bucks are obsessed with calling Scoot.
I think just stop.
It just tickles them. They just find so much whimsy in it. And as someone, I will say, as someone who likes to find whimsy in the horrors of daily life, I don't like the nickname, but I see where they're coming from. You can find
whimsy somewhere else, man.
I know they're obsessed with Scoot though, both the nickname and the person.
Stop making us try to like.
It's kind of on him for playing really well too. I mean, I did not expect a triple double from him, even in the good games. My big two on court reservations. I kept having to qualify that statement more and more with his actual play. One, the mid-range doesn't feel sustainable. It looked good again. Actually, it didn't. He was 4 for 11 against the Mavericks, so maybe it didn't look that great. But that's one thing where we've seen that wax and wane a bit after an extremely hot start where he was, shooting the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander percentage. I think KD is leading the league with like 54% on middies. KPJ started there. That has fallen off as expected. The threes are just really not there. You see why he's at like 26% from 3. But whatever, that's fine. He can still, like Kuzma, can still be effective if he can do rim pressure and defense and these other things that he mostly has. My other big reservation on court was he was not a willing enough passer as the lead guard in those bench lineups. And I get that they're bench lineups, and when he's on scoring, he should look to score. But there were possessions where he'd be in there with Giannis and still like taking his little ISO midi. And it's like, okay, like you could probably work a little bit more Giannis into this, KPJ. Like he's kind of the reason the whole thing works. 14 assists against Dallas, where it literally feels like somebody on the Bucks went up to him and was just like, hey, try passing. Consider doing that a little bit more. And he did, and it looked good. Like he was just able to open up a lot of shots for the other Bucks because he is so quick and he can get to the second level and get downhill. And I really want to see that.
He scoots towards the rim.
He did. He scoots toward the rim. There's a Scooter's Coffee now that's moved into Oshkosh. It's like a chain. And they say, thanks for scooting on in. And now it reminds me of this guy.
Do they actually say that?
Every time you go to the drive-thru. It's like their version of the Chick-fil-A, My Pleasure or whatever they say.
Do you think I know what goes on in a Chick-fil-A drive-thru?
No, I thought you might. It's famous. There's been skits about it. No, I don't. Anyway, but the passing was nice, and I hope we see more of that because I think that again, it's like insulating him from the bad jumper games is important. This was not a good jumper game. I mean, he had 10 points in 26 minutes, 4 for 11 from the field, missed all 5 of his threes. But the 14 assists made it an upstart game anyway, and that's going to be important for Scoot going forward.
I will say his passing is kind of hit or miss. There were points in that Mavs game and a little bit in the Hawks game as well where he just couldn't hit any of his passes. Like he ended up fixing it, which is good. But I'm like, I'm a little wary about that. I'll say it's good.
Yeah. I feel like he is like out over his skis a lot. I think is like with the shooting, with the passing, even with defense. Like sometimes, like he is kind of a high variance player on every single play, where it's like he could easily end up postering someone, or it could be like a really bad looking shot, or the ball flying out of bounds, or getting a technical. But so far with the Bucks, it's been definitely more good than bad. But I think being wary about him is smart because there is like, he's just like flying toward the rim, and it's like Is this going to come together well or not? And again, it's been very good so far, but he flies by the seat of his pants out there. So I kind of see why he got the nickname. I don't know if Scoot would be the right one.
I don't get Scoot. I just
He
don't get
scooted
it.
around as a baby, and they just called him Scoot, and it stuck.
I think it's worse. It's a bad nickname because there's an actual NBA guard named Scoot.
Well, his actual name isn't Scoot.
I know,
He has better branding.
No, but that's just been his like nickname for a while, like a long time.
Well, same with KPJ had it longer. If he had it since baby, he just hasn't been prominent enough.
And he doesn't go by Scoot, you know? Scoot Henderson goes by Scoot.
I would argue that's worse. I can't imagine meeting someone and being like, "Hey, I'm Scoot."
I don't think I could do that.
What is Scoot Henderson's real name?
Scooter.
And is it really?
No, I have no idea.
Oh. Scoot Gerald Sterling.
Sterling Scoot.
Great name. Oh my, I would go by Sterling.
Sterling Henderson. Think of all the great Sterling. Sterling K. Brown. Sterling Brown, the basketball player.
Yeah. Maybe Scoot Henderson realized, like, oh, my last name isn't Brown, so this Sterling thing might not work for me.
Yeah.
Kind of seems like an all or nothing deal.
It's crazy that the only two Sterlings I could think of are both named Sterling Brown.
That's the only two I could. Sterling Silver is more of a concept.
I wouldn't say it's a concept. I'd say it's a metal.
Sure. Whatever kind of term you want to use.
Yeah. Physical object.
KPJ's name isn't Kevin.
What?
It's Brian Kevin.
What is going on here?
That's wild. I did not know that. Wow. Yeah, Kevin Porter Sr.'s name is also Brian.
What?
Yeah.
You're already going by not your first name. You can't be Scoot.
Yeah, he's got double new names.
You can't do it. I'm sorry.
Well, he's done it.
No, the Bucks are forcing it upon us, and I don't like it.
Well, maybe he introduces himself as Scoot too. It is his name on Twitter and IG.
Is it actually? I can't say I follow Kevin Porter Jr.
No, I'm Googling to try and find out where his story for Scoot came from. It's like the display name, not the @.
Okay. Lisa, come on the pod again. You can tell us.
Yeah. I thought it was he scooted around as a baby, but that's what Scoot Henderson says. Which I just feel like generally I probably wouldn't want my adult name to be based on my baby tendencies. Hey, I'm Spit Up. I don't know. I guess Scoot is probably the best thing a baby can do. So maybe it's a sign of potential.
Sure. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Anyway, what else from the Bucks has stuck out to you?
I don't know, man. Like, they're playing really well together. I think one thing we didn't really touch upon with Giannis and Dame is that they're just playing so well together.
Yeah.
It's like you can see them, and I think Giannis especially doing well off the short roll. I think I mentioned that earlier talking about Brook Lopez. It's just they're making quick decisions. They're playing like a real basketball team, which is like the first time I could. It's refreshing. I mean, they haven't had like the hardest schedule of all time in the post All-Star break era. Sure.
Yeah.
Good to see. They're just playing. They're playing well. They're playing cohesive. A lot of points together. They don't have to defer. They can play to each other. We're starting to see how Giannis and Dame really fit in playoff time. Because I've said this a lot. I want to see them play a playoff game together. That'd be awesome. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like I was glad to see them just carry the lead all the way through in the Mavericks game because the other games all felt kind of like what I said about the way KPJ has been playing, like a little bit over their skis. Like they're down by like 7 to 10 in the second or third quarter of every single game, even the ones against the bad teams. It was nice to see them just take control late in the first and hold on to it. But it also is nice to see, like, oh, the game's kind of close. Like, we can just put in Dame and Giannis together late, and we're probably going to win the game. And that's working for them because those two are both playing at individual high levels, and the team ball around them is at an extremely high level right now as well. So that has been great to see, kind of that evolution. And I think we're going to know a lot about the Bucks over the next 2 weeks here. You know, like, while this Magic game is not as hard as it looked earlier, they are an absolute shambles with Jalen Suggs out for the rest of the season. Cavs, Pacers, Lakers, Pacers, Thunder, Warriors, Lakers, Kings, Suns, Nuggets. The last 5 of those on a West Coast road trip. And then home Knicks. And then home Hawks. That's the end of March. So, I mean, I don't want to even put out a record projection because I always end up way off. But I'll say this, like, I think the Pacers games are both very important. You need to win at least one to secure that tiebreaker, and winning both gives you a really nice cushion to hold on to the spot against them. You have to handle Detroit as well. But I have circled the Cavs game for sure. And then, like, I'd like to see a really good game, either Thunder, Lakers, or maybe Nuggets again. Not as important as Cavs. I think you need a good win against the great team in the East this season. So that one is the most important outside of Pacers for standings. But you'd like to just see they need more good wins. Or Knicks. Knicks also.
I was going to say Knicks as well. Like, prove you can beat at least one of these teams. It's so unfortunate that they stopped playing Boston after December because it's like I'd want to see them.
I thought they had one more. Do they not?
No, they don't.
Oh, damn. I've been saying that wrong. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, they played all of their games against Boston in 2024.
Yeah, the one nice thing is they don't play any contenders in April. Like, all winnable games. The 2 against the Pistons to close the year are going to be the 2 most important April games. Like, they host the Wolves, they go to Miami. That's about it. So it really eases up a bit after you get through March. So if the Bucks can be in the 4th spot heading into April, they're in a very good position to hold that, I think. So that's going to be what is important to watch.
Yeah, better watch out for those Pistons, though.
Those last 2 games of the year, it feels like are going to decide that spot unless one of the other teams shifts from right now, because they are very close right now. And if the Bucks win 1 more, they get the tiebreaker. If they win 2 more, that's like giving yourself 3 additional games on Detroit. So that's just going to be huge.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just it's a really tough stretch coming up. Like, you'd want to see them play really well against the Warriors too, who they faltered against earlier, like a couple weeks back. So that's another one that I'd like to see, but just a brutal.
Yeah. I will say for the ticket buying public, I would
time they have that is the Pacers game.
Wait, the only time they have what? I missed that.
Oh, they have like a home and away and then back home.
Oh, yeah.
Like a 1-game road trip or a 1-game homestand is against Indiana, and that post stretch is going to be tough. But excuse me, at least you're staying in the West Coast. Like, at least for 3 of those games in a row, you're in California, and then Phoenix, then Denver, which is that's tough. But then you come back home. But it's just I just hate the schedule makers so much. I can't say enough bad things.
I was going to say I would wait to probably get tickets for Thunder at Bucks, because that is the second night of a back-to-back, both in Milwaukee, but the Pacers game is just infinitely more important to standings. And the Thunder, like the Thunder whooped the Bucks when the Bucks didn't play anyone, which may happen again. And the Bucks have a really good win against them.
The national TV game, though. So Adam Silver's going to shoot him.
He can be mad. I mean, I don't think Doc is worried about Adam Silver, frankly. I just think, like, you know what I would say to Adam Silver? Hey, maybe don't make it the second night of a back-to-back. Maybe don't give us a month and a half, almost, or 2 months with no back-to-back days off, or 1 month with no back. Like, it is what it is, man. Like, that's the second night of a back-to-back. This is your fault,
Adam.
Well, yeah, 100% it is. Well, and like right after Pacers, which you knew was probably going to be an important matchup in the Eastern Conference standings. So the Bucks should and probably will prioritize winning that Pacers game, and either they'll probably rest guys or, might just look terrible against the Thunder. We'll see. They've been resilient lately. They've been winning a lot of games. They've not been sitting guys. And obviously the standings are really important to them. But I'd say that to me, as I look at the schedule, is probably like the number one identified. Like, oh, that might be a punt game, just because of the difficulty of the opponent and the fact that it's really not that important to notch a win against OKC.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, I hope they play. I'm not saying I hope they punt it. I just think that's the most likely one.
Like a Kings game, I could see them punting. Like that.
Yeah, the thing about the road trip is none of them are back-to-backs, so I don't know if there'll be a true punt game, but it probably depends how the trip is going, too.
Yeah. Also, just like a Sunday, I don't get it. Like, why is there an
8 p.m.?
Yeah, ESPN at 8? A game starting at 8? When's the first game starting? 5:30?
Probably. You'd think it would actually be earlier. They're not doing a triple header that day, are they? Oh, they are. No, they're doing 3 national games that day.
What?
Yeah, they're doing noon Mavs, Sixers, 2:30 Suns, Lakers, and then 8 Bucks, Thunder. That's a really weird pacing.
Say noon?
Yeah, noon Central is the first game.
Is that not Selection Sunday too?
Is that why there's a gap between games 2 and 3?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's noon, 2:30, and then 8. So I don't know what went on there. They did not cook with that national TV schedule. I assume it's ABC, and then ESPN. It must be something with college basketball.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be the selection show, right?
Yeah. So maybe they just wanted to sandwich basketball around it. I don't know. It's odd.
I just don't get it. Stop messing with players' routines.
Yeah. I mean, Mavs, Sixers at noon. I mean, how have they not flexed that game yet? Quentin Grimes revenge game, like that's what that's going to be? Is Caleb Martin going to suit up for the first time for Dallas? That is just a disgusting display of basketball to see.
God, on this coming Sunday, it's Mavs Suns on ABC.
How can we start flexing these games or what?
This coming Sunday, they also do 12,
they're doing the same
30, and 7.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the schedule.
They're like, hey, no more football. Let's just pack it. Like Thunder Nuggets is a good game. Nuggets is a good game. Mavs Suns, no one's tuning into that.
No, I feel like they're not nearly aggressive enough with flexing.
Which they should be.
Although it's not a great game. I mean, I guess Kings Clippers would be better, or Pistons Blazers. Those are the two only other options, though. The rest of the games stink that day.
That is true.
Adam Silver's not getting out of bed to put the Pistons on TV, unfortunately.
I mean, it move days. Like the NFL does that sometimes. I mean, it's easier for the NFL, but
yeah.
Oh well. Well, we have some time. Should we talk about the roster? We haven't talked about like the roster moves and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Ryan Rollins finally got his spot and then immediately was out with personal issues, which is a tough break because he would have gotten some good run in this game. But interestingly enough, did not get a multi-year contract. Got a rest of season contract, so he'll be around for playoffs if they need him, which is looking less likely now. But he did get kind of rewarded, and then I believe is going to be a restricted free agent. I've seen conflicting things on this, but my understanding is he will be. Either way, the Bucks will have his early bird rights, so if they want to retain him, they can. I don't imagine they would need more than vet min anyway, given his stature on the team, but it is what it is. And then they brought in, we talked about Pete Nance. They also brought in Jamari Bouye, I believe it's pronounced, a new two-way who had a fun first game, got to play in his first two-way game, which we did not expect to see, but had a fun little debut against the Mavs. Yeah. Probably would have started for Dallas in this game.
Oh, definitely would have started for Dallas in this game. That dude looked...
Wait, what'd you say he looked like?
Just born to be a 70s player.
Yeah. I saw some Chris Middleton in him.
I wouldn't go that far.
I apologize to Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say. that's disrespectful.
It's like...
The body's still warm, man.
I didn't mean it in a negative. I like throwback players.
That's fair. But no, it's like... He's obviously not going to be on the playoff roster. It's just cool to see. I mean, the Herd don't have too many games left,
Yeah.
and they are currently on a West Coast road trip, so I doubt they're just going to throw him to the Wolves.
Send him over.
Yeah, over
Santa Cruz. If you can do it in Santa Cruz, you can do it anywhere, as they often say. It was fun to watch him play. Did not expect his first game with the Bucks organization to be an NBA game, but he came in, scored 2 points, had an assist, had a steal, 1 turnover as well. So fun little debut for him. Had some fun Chris Livingston minutes. Stanley Amude had a block, but missed all 3 of his shots. Tyler Smith didn't get to do a whole lot either. No more A.J. Johnson garbage time, which is a little sad, but he just had a really big game, I believe, for the Go-Go. So be fun and hopefully not torturously painful to track his development over the years.
Yeah. I was about to. What was I about to say? Ty, read my mind.
About the two-ways?
I don't know what it was.
Rollins? Was it about Bonzi Colson?
I
don't know.
Oh, yeah, hardship exception. They're not. It looks like they're not going to use the hardship exception because it's available to them.
Yeah, that just happened over the weekend? Was that like games 5 and 6 or 6 and 7 without Big Bob?
I think no, because this was game 8, the Mavs game.
Wow.
So it's been a few games, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, I mean, we've talked about, like, Ajax barely gets to play. I mean, did not play in non-garbage time, even with Trent out, and obviously Bob is out. So, like, why bother? You know? Like,
yeah, we kind of expected this.
Yeah.
But now I think it's just confirmation.
Yeah, I mean, they could sign a guy to a 10-day. I think they have room. I mean, there's also like this hard cap stuff now. They're hard capped at I think the first apron, but which, by the way, is if you're wondering why Dallas lost Moses Brown, in addition to everything else going on, they're too close to the first apron, which they're hard capped at, to sign a vet min guy for the rest of the year. They have to wait they have to wait a few weeks to do that. Just absolutely brutal, dude. They're like, oh, Moses Brown, you're so helpful. Oh, you're gone and we can do nothing to bring you back. Crazy.
Yeah, just a cursed season that's entirely self-inflicted.
Mostly.
No, I mean the curse is self-inflicted.
Oh,
the actual things that are happening are not self-inflicted. Like Nico Harrison did not go out there and tear Kyrie Irving's ACL.
No, it'd be bold if he did.
Hey, you know what? He'd say it's good for the franchise.
Come back stronger.
It's like, you know what? We really wanted to open up our options in free agency by making us not re-sign Kyrie Irving, but just not making him an option. We're taking him out.
No,
he's just not an option for us anymore.
He's like the old Dame meme. Like, I need harder battles.
He's like, how are you still alive?
He wanted to GM on hard mode.
Yeah.
Welcome, buddy. You're there now.
Yep. Here's the thing about Nico Harrison. If he gets fired, like what does he care?
He's just gonna go back to Nike and botch more pitches.
It's just, I feel so bad for Dallas fans.
Cooper Flagstaff. Welcome to Nike. I don't know if he already has a shoe deal. Yeah, I mean, yeah. You know, they got the Cowboys, so I guess I feel bad for them too. That's horrible.
Not just like, hey, at least you can like try and be like a Spurs fan.
No, because I feel like that's like a bitter rival for them.
Or it seems you.
I think that'd be like if you said, oh, you know, a Wisconsin team is bad, just cheer for the Illinois team. I think that's how they take that.
Yeah.
That's danger. Those are fighting words for them.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah. Apologies.
Well, it doesn't. They're not listening.
Yeah, I was going to say to the zero Mavs fans that are listening.
I wouldn't listen to a Mavs podcast at this point. There's no way.
I wouldn't watch the Mavs.
Oh, imagine if they're like, oh, let's tune in. Let's hear about a fun breakdown of a different team, and then we're just shitting on it. That'd be pretty funny. Sorry, Mavs fan. Oh man.
Sound off in the YouTube comments if you are a Mavs fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, on that note, we'll say thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on Blue Wire and GSP, presented by our great friends over at Prize Picks. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening to or watching this podcast. Like I said, sound off in the YouTube comments, whether you're a Mavs fan or not, just in general. That's awesome. Yeah, make sure you check out gspn.info pod random, and we'll talk to you next time.